What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to take the Fender Stratosonic apart. We're going to do a couple of mods to this thing and we're going to make it sound freaking amazing, even more than it did when it came out of the box. So let's get into it. For those of you that may have missed the first video or the unboxing video, this is the Fender Squier Stratosonic. It is a Squier guitar that is under $500. It is a Chinese guitar, this particular one. And it is 24/7/5 scale. Basically, it's like a Les Paul special in Fender clothes. So it's an Ocume body, I think about 3 pieces here, which is kind of par for the course for Squier stuff. It's got a maple bolt-on neck. It's got a 3 or 4 degree neck angle milled into the neck pocket so that you can accommodate this wraparound bridge, which is in fact got Epiphone stamped on the back. Everybody in the last video asked me to check that when I put it on the guitar, when I took the guitar apart. It has push-pull pots. This one does these 2 pickups in series, and this one does these 2 pickups out of phase. So it's kind of a cool setup. The tuners are great. The guitar is great. It really is great. And out of the box, it's awesome. However, I'm a pickup guy. So I'm going to mess around with pickups. For what reason? Because I like making stuff better, number 1. And number 2, because we make really good P90s here, and I want to share them with you. Not only that, today what we're going to do is we're going to take this guitar and we're going to play it next to the Gibson. I've got a Gibson SG Junior up there, and I've also got this custom-made Les Paul Double Cut Junior style guitar made by my friend Don that was gifted to me. This is a very special guitar to me, and it's got my pickups in it as well. So does the Gibson. So we're going to hear these side by side. I'm going to show you a couple of differences between the 2 things. Before we do that, though, let's go ahead and just hear this guitar a little before and after. Are you going to be able to hear it through the internet? No, but take a listen, and then I'm going to give you kind of my thoughts on what changed when we put these new pickups in this guitar. These are my P90 soap bars. Okay, so when you think about how they sound, basically our thing with all of our guitars is clarity. Our pickups, I mean. All of our pickups is clarity. I like to hear every note. No matter how much gain you put to it, no matter how you play it, I like to make sure that we hear every note. Sometimes factory P90s, a lot of times, factory P90s from Korea, which I think these things are these are probably Chinese ones. They lose a lot of top end, especially in the neck pickup. They get a little muddy. And so to be able to put some of that clarity back into it and be able to really use that neck pickup in a bunch of different scenarios is nice. It makes it a more playable guitar, in my opinion. Plus, when you put gain to stuff that the high end is always rolled off, then it starts to just mud up, mud up, mud up. And let's face it, this is a punk rock and roll guitar, man. You're going to play it with gain a lot of times. I mean, that's how it's going to be. So I like to fix that problem. The other thing that I think it really fixes is when you play it with the pickups in series. So now when you play a guitar pickups in series and you add all that output, especially with P90s, it makes it, it really shaves the highs off the top because you're going with the resistance of both pickups. So now you're looking at like 16K or 15 or so in series, really just shaves off a lot of the top end. And so if you're not careful, you just get this huge mud ball of power. So I think it's a lot better with the aftermarket pickups because I feel it's more playable in that sense. The out of phase thing is it sounds good, but I'm not an out of phase person, but I do like this series position. So I really like what that has done to that sound. The only other modification we did to the guitar was we put string joy 10s on the guitar. I cannot stand Fender strings. They usually ship with 9s, especially on Squiers, and I cannot stand them. So we put 10s on the guitar. We used our Peterson Strobo tuner to set it all up. I did lower the action with the main screw here. The neck relief did not change. The neck relief was fine. I did lower this side just a little bit to just give it a little bit more playability. I mean, just a quarter of a turn. It wasn't terrible. And the intonation, a lot of people want to say, well, are you going to replace the bridge with some adjustable blah, 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 blah? No. Check it with the Peterson Strobe tuner. It's fine. It works fine. I think people get in their heads that because it's not adjustable, somehow it needs to be changed. But the bottom line is, you put 10s on this guitar, you set it up once, and you're never going to have to change your intonation again. You never are. It never moves on its own. The only thing that moves on its own is the neck relief. You just adjust that back to its setting that you like it at, whether it's 5,000ths or it's flat or whatever. This never moves. It's not going to need to move. It doesn't need to move around. It needs to stay exactly where it is, which is just fine. So there's really no reason to put an adjustable bridge on this guitar. It's totally fine. Other than that, that's it. So now let's take the real Gibson SG Junior, and which is, what kind of the bridge pickup, at least on that guitar, is sort of to emulate. Both my pickups, all three of these guitars have my pickups in them. So you'll be able to hear that side to side and hear the differences between the three guitars. So we'll play this one, and the Fender bridge pickups back to back, and let me know in the comments what you hear difference-wise between these three. sure you've probably heard a difference. There's a couple of different kinds of mahogany there. We've got oakum here. Let's tap test it. Yep, it's made of wood, and it looks like mahogany, and it weighs about the same, and it sounds fine. What differences are you going to hear between the two? There's a couple of interesting things that are going to make the difference. One is pot choice. I don't remember. I think these are 500K pots, but the taper of the pots is a little bit different between the three guitars. So those two, I think, have CTS pots in them. This guitar has whatever alpha pots come in it because it's a Squier, and it's different. Just the pot taper is different. It acts different when you kind of turn it down a little bit, etc. The other major difference is the distance from the saddle to the center of the pickup. Interestingly, the Gibson is the furthest. So the bridge pickup sits further away from the bridge. Then the yellow one is actually a little bit closer. And then this actually is the closest to the bridge. That is going to be your biggest kind of tonal difference between these three guitars, is the distance of that pickup between that and the bridge, which is interesting. And there you go. But they sound pretty similar. It's kind of cool. You could sit there and be like, well, I think, in this particular tonal, like perfect tonal space, and I'm comparing things because I'm a nerd, you could surely hear differences between the three guitars. But I think most people are super punk rock. And I think they're cool people that are just going to, turn everything to 10 and just rock and roll. And I think that's what this guitar is for. And I think with these pickups, it makes a lot of sense. There will be links to everything we used below. So we've got my pickups. We used a Runway Audio cable. We used the Tonex with a super reverb, factory super reverb profile. And we used a Wampler Moxie overdrive for this video. And of course, our pickups. Now, one question we get a lot is the soap bar pickup in this guitar versus the dog ears that are in the other guitar. The windings and the magnets are exactly the same. The only difference between a soap bar pickup and a dog ear pickup is the base plate and the cover. So it's just how it mounts to the guitar. There's no tonal difference. There's no design difference between the two. They're exactly the same. So really, you just get the one that fits your guitar. We'll leave a link to those in the description below as well. I would like to thank my Patreon supporters for making videos like this possible. This was, we buy these guitars. I don't actually get them for free from the manufacturers. We have to buy them. And so that's what Patreon does, as well as the little super thanks button down below, and super chats on live videos and all that stuff. That's where that money goes, to do cool videos like this. So thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel, as well as clicks the links below, buys the pickups, and the other stuff like the cables and that kind of stuff. That's how we support this channel. So we thank you very much for all of that, and we will see you in the next video.